Hey guys, welcome to your Blue Sky Camper Vans rental. This is Red Dawn, but we're going to give you a breakdown of the electrical system and the plumbing system quick, just so that you can troubleshoot on your own if anything comes up, and so you know which pieces are what. So on the back, the first three things that you see are large cutoff switches. These cutoff switches on and off are represented by what color is exposed on the switch. So this is on and that's off, green and red. So one is for your DC to DC charger and one is for your solar panel. So these should be on at all times. These are the breakers that are also there, but these are the protection for the solar panels and for the wires and for the appliance inside. So sometimes there are large surges in a 12-volt power system which can trip this breaker. So for some reason you're noticing something different on the Victron app other than just a constant flow of power, come back and check these guys, and if this yellow lever has come down, then it has just detected a surge in the system. Flip it back up and everything should be running just fine from there. Don't really necessarily need to worry about this. This is a large cutoff mainly for us if we're going to be shutting the van down for a long time to preserve batteries, but for you guys this should be in the on position. And inside here we have, from this line over, is all of your 12-volt appliances. So this is the main switch for the 12-volt, and these are all the little individual breakers that go to each one of these things that Maria has labeled here nicely for you. So if in the event that you get really low on power and you're just trying to charge, the best thing to do is to switch these guys off, keep your refrigerator on, and then switch everything else off, just so that there's the very lowest amount of power is being consumed. This is for all of the 120 volt outlets, the household plugs inside the van. Once this goes on, it's a much larger amount of power than it is to run the 12-volt system. So just know that when you're out and you have 400 amp hours of battery, this is going to be the largest draw of power on your system. So we need to be conscious of that as we're going through this. Inside here is your DC-DC charger and your solar charger. Really the only thing that you need to know about inside of this box is this little switch right here. So if you're just charging from the shore power, which is the plug from the outside, you can go to charger only, which means that the inversion process, which is changing the energy from 12-volt battery to 120-volt plug's not happening. So you're not drawing a huge amount of power. As soon as you want to run all of your plugs, switch the inverter back to on, and it'll say inverter on. Now you can run all of your plugs. So that's really the basis for these guys. If we're to make the power last the longest, which is what we're trying to do, all of these guys stay on and this stays off if we're not using it. If we're not using the plugs, this can stay off and the inverter will go to charge only. And that's the way to minimize the power draw so that your batteries will last the longest amount of time. Okay, so that's the power system. So plumbing system, real quick. It's pretty straightforward. Maria has now labeled all of these guys. From the water pump back here, there's going to be two different directions that the water can go. One is going to be from here, which goes back to the sink in this big line. There's going to be another line that runs right here, which is to the AC unit. So when the Fresair runs out of water, turn on the water pump and you turn this ball valve to in line with the way that the water is flowing. That's how you know that water can pass through. If the ball valve is perpendicular to the line, you know that water will stop. So this one will 99% of the time stay up because this is the one that's going to the sink. This one's going to the air conditioner, which you only need when you're running the Fresair, and everything else is a drain. So this line right here is the drain that if you want to empty this gray tank, just turn that to parallel or in line, and water will drain out of the gray tank if there's any in there. There's also, this is the drain from the sink. So as water leaves the sink, it's going to fill this gray tank, but if you're in a place where you feel comfortable that you can drain directly out of the van, there's a ball valve that's on this side of the gray tank. It's sort of hard to see with the camera, but trust me, it's there. And once again, same idea. You turn the ball valve to inline, water will drain directly out. You turn it to perpendicular, water won't drain. So those those are the big things. There's also an overflow valve that will come out of this gray tank, that if for some reason you forget to empty the gray tank as the sink is running, it will spill out and just drain out of the van. But just be conscious of it, that if you're in a place where that's not going to be welcomed, we try to avoid that. So if you're going to be plugging into shore power, which is a 120 volt plug from the outside, I'll just show you where that is. This is going to be your fastest and most efficient way to charge your battery system, which is this 15 amp household plug from the outside. So you simply plug in the extension cord, plug this into a power source wherever it may be, and then you have upwards of 80 to almost 100 amps per hour of recharging your battery system. So solar, DC-DC charger, and this guy, between those three things, we have to be conscious of managing the power that we have. So hopefully with all that information, you're able to do that the best you can.